Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your April 2020 reading. This is your reading for Aries season. I think I'm going to do the readings by season as opposed to month. So this is your Aries season reading. Let's get into it. I'm going to be posting these on my Instagram, on my IGTV. And after a month, I will archive the previews off of my main Insta page, but you can still access these readings through IGTV. So let's get into it. What is any messages, any guidance for Taurus for April 2020? Okay, so 2 cards out. We have the Fool and the 8 of Wands. And so the way I'm going to do the reading is the first cards that come out are kind of going to be like the overall energy, the problem, the question, and we'll go from there. So the Fool and the 8 of Wands. For me, the Fool definitely representing new beginnings and the blind faith that is required with new beginnings, right? And 8 of Wands, things coming in very quickly. So new beginnings coming in very quickly, whether you want them or not. But I feel like whatever's coming in is meant to be a beautiful energy, right? You're fixed to earth. You are fixed energy. Not only are you fixed, you're fixed to earth, right? I'm an Aquarius that's fixed to air. It's still air, right? So there's still some mobility, still some malleability to my fixed nature. But being fixed to earth, these energies actually can be a bit uncomfortable for Taurus. So let's get some more clarity around the Fool and the 8 of Wands. Right? So what is this new opportunity that's coming in very quickly? And also another message is, blind faith, the sort of faith that the Fool has, maintaining that faith does sort of glean favorable, swift and favorable results. The 8 of Wands is also a very favorable card for me. So let's see what else is going to come up for Taurus for Aries season. And happy early birthday. 7 of Pentacles. So there's been something, right, that you all have been, there's some seeds that have been planted. There were some seeds that you all planted probably around Libra season, I want to say. And right now, as we are, hopefully I'm going to get this up as the full moon in Libra is happening. And so really pay attention to what comes forth during the full moon for you, especially if there were projects or seeds that you planted during Libra season in October of last year. And also, we're all hopefully we're all home. Hopefully we're all home, right? Those of us that can be home and stay home, we're doing that. Those of us who can't, we're finding those of y'all who hopefully we're staying home, hopefully, these 2 cards just came out. These two cards just came out. The Ace of Cups and the King of Pentacles. So, and also we're in a time right now, we're slowing down where a lot of this is happening, right? That I feel as though a lot of people are sort of not, I won't say trapped in this energy, but I think there's also this there is this observational factor of the 7 of Pentacles where one is really observing not only the seeds that they've planted, but what are the conditions, what are the ways in which these seeds could potentially come to fruition? What am I doing with my life? What are the habits, the patterns, the unhealthy lovers, the unhealthy family members, the healthy lovers, the healthy family members? It's also a card of taking inventory, right? And taking stock. So I feel like this time at home has actually been an opportunity for many of us who have, the privilege of being in a safe environment. And it's a shame to say that that's a privilege nowadays. But for a lot of you who are home, as I feel we should be, to help keep each other safe in the times of Corona. But definitely looking at taking stock of the environment, right? And with the Pentacles card, I also associate Pentacles with environment. Our home, our foundation. And you have the Ace of Cups and the King of Pentacles that have also come out. So the Ace of Cups, yes, potentially new love. You know, I feel like King of Pentacles also represents your energy for me very much. It's also the card of Capricorn. So very much, you know, could be new love, a new connection with Capricorn energy, right? And this energy very much matching your Taurus energy. But I feel like you as the Fool right now and this King of Pentacles, there can be some incompatibility, right? That this Capricorn energy, even the throne that he sits on just is extremely stable and extremely immovable, right? And meanwhile, you have the Fool energy who is sort of stepping into the unknown, which I think a lot of you all are doing right now. And doing so is yielding sort of a speeding up, right? The Seven of Pentacles is the Seven of Pentacles energy of this observing and this mulling over is sped up with the Eight of Wands. And this Ace of Cups, right? So potentially a new connection with the Capricorn energy. This could also be a deep inner knowing and a deep inner reserve of self-love, right? The King of Pentacles is very much observing this Pentacles, which a lot of the Pentacles court cards are, right? They're looking at the Page of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles are all observing the pentacle that they behold. And that pentacle representing self-worth, right? These pentacles representing what might be the patterns in my life, what might be the things that don't work for me. What are old stories, old narratives that I need to let go of, that for a fixed earth sign can be very difficult to let go of. And this Ace of Cups for me indicating a healing or a washing of these things, right? So a lot of you potentially being in a process of healing, being in a state of filling your own cup back up, essentially. I like that for y'all because there was a lot of the last year or so, a lot of the Taurans that I had come across and that I, you know, some had worked, some of them, some I had worked with, some I just sort of knew, but there was this pulling back of masks, this pulling back of disguises, this pulling back of really destructive behavioral patterns that either you were carrying out against yourself or that you were carrying out against other people. Yeah, I knew a lot of So I feel like with this King of Pentacles, right? If this is really, I mean, unless you're already coupled up right now, it is difficult to, you know, it might be difficult to meet new people. Hey, you never know. Things happen, right? What's meant to be yours is yours and nothing can really get in the way of that, not even a quarantine, right? But if this, and also as getting back into tarot, right? I've been gone from my platform for about a couple of years. Needed to handle some things personally and spiritually. Now I'm back. And I think one of the things that I'm realizing is yes, we can do readings about relationships and love and does he care and cross-watching. And I think that's all very important because it's something that I think drives a lot of us to these channels in the first place. Definitely that was my story, right? I found these trying to figure out a Gemini. But more and more wanting to turn the lessons inward, right? And more wanting to see, well, yeah, it could be about that person, but it's really about me at the end of the day, you know? And I think this Three of Swords with this King of Pentacles, especially for those of you who are really in a space of you're not looking, either because you don't want to, or this quarantine's got you holed up in the house, or you just got out of a relationship, or you're just really with yourself right now in this moment in time. You know, there is also a looking at this, right? That pentacle that King of Pentacles is holding, that coin, right? It's about the cycle. It's about looking at the cycle of how this happens and understanding that these two things, these two themes must happen in a cycle, right? What goes up must come down. That I have some pretty strong Taurus placements. I'm a Taurus, Aries cusp Mars, and a Jupiter in Taurus, and I have a stellium in the second house. So I understand Taurus energy very intimately. And there is a difficulty in grasping, right? Well, for one, we're suckers for pleasure centers, right? We're suckers for all things pleasurable, for comfort, for sitting down, for laying down, all the things, right? And I think sometimes it can be hard to understand that with pleasure must come a little bit of pain, sometimes a lot of bit of pain. And I feel like this Fool card is asking you to maybe get a better grasp, or to really understand that there really are no guarantees. And I think Taurus energy, fixed energy in general, needs the guarantee that this will be okay. Needs the guarantee that whatever it is it's observing, some of these pentacles aren't going to come out all right. Some of them are going to be trash. Any other messages or guidance for Taurus? Yes, indeed. Yeah, the sun. Well, the sun's going to move into your sign later this month. Right? So I think maybe towards the end of April, end of Aries season, heading into your season, I feel like this reading might have been done a little bit backwards, right? I tend to, the first cards indicate energies now, and cards that come out as the reading progresses indicate energies that are going to happen later on. I feel like there's sort of a backwards motion to this reading. So as the sun enters into your sign, sun enters into Taurus at the end of this month, feel like things begin to speed up, ironically, during Taurus season. I feel like this has been a very, very slow Aries season for me thus far. And I feel like because we're in this quarantine and we expect Aries season, I at least expect Aries season to be so fast and quick pace, I feel like there's a shift in things, right? So the things that we used to expect to be a certain way are no longer going to be that way. And I feel like Taurus season is actually going to be a bit more sparky and like a pep in your step kind of energy. That's going to come at the end of April and May, regardless of whether we're still quarantined or not, which I'm pretty sure there will still be major bans on socializing, because that's what's needed right now. And so let's see, are there any other messages? Okay, I think that will be good. Bottom of the deck, Page of Wands. So bottom of the deck is the Page of Wands, right? Which I think speaks to this Eight of Wands. Maybe you'll receive a message from a water sign. A very, very, a very, very abundant and independent and secure water sign, maybe a Cancer. And this message could potentially be about feelings, about, hey, I like you a lot. Hey, I want to connect. Hey, like, I see that you're in this healing process. I would like to help you sort of move through that, right? Okay. And yeah, the Emperor, the next thing that came out was the Emperor and the Eight of Swords. So Emperor for me representing power structures in our lives that really subconsciously command us, and consciously as well. Is there an Aries that you have been previously involved with that you maybe are stuck here with in this phase of waiting, in this phase of wanting to find out what's going on between me and this person, right? Have they caused, has an Aries sort of caused a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, being stuck within your own mind? This could also represent blinding yourself, right, to the swords that surround you. Maybe it's necessary, right? Maybe through Aries season, right? Emperor representing Aries. As we go through Aries season, Taurus finds itself wanting to look deeply at the things, right? Wanting to look deeply at the ways in which it has manifested potentially harmful or negative things into their lives, while also shielding themselves from the swords, right? The outside, remaining inside, remaining sort of blinded. There is a patterning here. There is, I don't know, I feel like some of you all, there's like a stark difference between, right? It's like this Eight of Swords, this person is intentionally really trying hard to not look at the swords, right? And oftentimes swords can be scary to look at, or the swords we think are really scary to look at, right? The swords represent pain, they represent the heartbreak, they represent, maybe some of these swords are from here, right? These three swords have a place within these eight, right? And the other five, God knows what those might be, right? I did say that the last year, a lot of Taurans that I've come across, there has been this great removing of the mask, this having to unravel themselves and really look at the damage or the havoc they're wreaking around themselves, right? I think last year might have been pivotal in hidden behaviors that y'all are really good at disguising and masking, and not letting anybody see, coming to the surface, whether you wanted it to come to the surface or not, and having to answer for your behaviors to other people or to yourself, to family, to yourself, to friends, to coworkers, right? And so I feel like there is this fear with Taurus energy towards change, right? And what's required in order to have change, what's required is that we look at what's not working, where we have to see what's not working. We have to see where we're stuck, where we're binded together and unable to move. But the reality is that if you kind of look at the swords, maybe they'll turn into pentacles. And instead of treating them like these really scary, sharp objects, you can turn them into something, into a quality, into a material that you're actually more familiar with, right? Swords can be scary for earth signs because it's an unfamiliar material. It's thought, it's sharp. It can pierce through anything, even earth. But these pentacles are material that you're more familiar with, right? So I think Aries season will help you make a transition from this to this. From viewing the sword, from almost blinding yourself from the swords, right? From the reflection of the swords, from, oh my God, it's reflecting back this pain. It's reflecting back, you know, a time in my life when I was really doing my best to try and shield myself from the damage I was causing to myself and to others. Aries energy is afraid of nothing, right? And so Aries energy can transmute this initial fear of looking at these swords and looking at the self, right, into, oh, it's not that scary. And actually, if I look at it, I can actually clean it up a bit, and I can actually maybe induce some healing, which allows me to get more intimate. It's like somatic therapy practices, right? So one of the things that I practice is somatic therapy. So the very baseline layman terms sort of idea of somatic therapy is that we have trauma, right? And as humans, we don't move through the trauma cycle fully in the same way that, say, animals do. And that I believe when animals are shaking, they're actually shaking trauma off their bodies. And like, we don't have a process for that. And actually what ends up happening is that humans can get stuck in the loop, right? And we can relive the trauma, and we can relive the incident as if it's still happening, because we're trying to rationalize it. We're trying to create a hypothetical. Well, what if this would have happened? All of that, when you're ruminating about something and you're staying in the space of, well, what if I would have said this? What if that would have happened differently? What if he wouldn't have treated me this way? Or what if she wouldn't have done that? What if I wouldn't have said that? You're still locking yourself in the trauma, because you're not allowing yourself to be within the reality space of that thing happened and it sucked. So what somatic therapy practices can do is it will move you from this to this. And not even this. It'll just move you from this to this. And right, from that to that to that. So what you do is you'll think of the traumatic experience. And all trauma starts out as sensations in the body. And those sensations want to be felt, but oftentimes when the mind gets in the way, then we begin to think about the trauma and it cuts off the sensation. And then we begin to attach a story and a feeling and an emotion, right? So I'm angry. I get really warm right here before I can allow myself to feel that warmth and be like, I'm having the sensation of anger, occurring, in my chest area. I begin to immediately lock into like an idea, a thought pattern, a story, an emotion behind the sensation. So somatic therapy gets you to think about the trauma. It asks you, okay, think about the trauma. Now think about the sensation, but don't think about the feeling. Don't attach words to it. Don't attach feelings to it. Just think about the actual physical sensation. And I've been guided through somatic therapy, guided meditations, I guess you could call them, guided practices in multiple ways. But the idea is that you zero in on the sensation and you feel it and you feel it and you allow yourself to get closer to it. And your therapist, your counselor, whoever, will provide guided visuals for you to follow and how to deal with the sensation. And the idea is that you allow yourselves to move through the sensation, and then therefore it is allowed to be stored in the long-term memory bank, as opposed to being in the forefront, which is what ruminating and overthinking can create, which is why fixed energy can get stuck, because there is this need to figure the thing out. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What would have happened? Doesn't matter. It happened. It doesn't matter. It happened. Feel it. Get really familiar with it. Get close to it. And you'll see that it's actually not a sword. It's actually not even a sword. You'll actually gain control of it if you just let yourself move through it and feel it. So that is your reading for Aries season. For now, bear with me. I'm working on a setup. I don't, also the way in which I pull cards and read cards is I don't have an actual, structured, 3 rows of 3 cards. I don't have that right now. I'm just getting really back into this and sort of allowing myself to freestyle. So I'm not going to be able to show you the cards. Maybe I can post a picture. We'll see. I'll see what I can do. But this is your reading for Taurus for April 2020 for Aries season. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next season. Bye.